Have you heard of Sakamoto Ryoma? He did not rule Japan. He did not command a vast army. He did not live long enough to hold power in the new government. Yet he became one of the most famous figures connected to the end of the Tokugawa shogunate and the birth of modern Japan. Ryoma matters because he stands at a doorway. Behind him was the old domain order, samurai status, hereditary rank, shogunal authority, and local loyalties. In front of him was a new question. How could Japan survive in a world of steamships, foreign pressure, global trade, and modern states? Ryoma was born in Tosa in 1836. Tosa was far from the political center, but it was not isolated from the tensions of the age. Status divisions inside the domain were sharp. Young samurai could feel both loyalty and frustration. Ryoma trained with the sword, but the world he entered would not be decided by swords alone. The arrival of Perry's black ships in 1853 changed the atmosphere of Japan. The Tokugawa system had managed foreign contact for centuries, but steam-powered warships made the imbalance visible. The question was no longer only who should rule inside Japan. The question became what Japan had to become in order to avoid being controlled from outside. Ryoma's life moved through that crisis. He left his domain and became a Ronin. That was dangerous. Leaving the domain system meant losing protection and status, but it also gave him freedom. Ryoma could move between regions, meet different factions, and think beyond one local interest. This is what makes him different from many other samurai activists of the Bakumatsu period. He was not simply anti-foreign. He was not simply loyal to one domain. He became interested in ships, trade, law, negotiation, and national structure. He saw that Japan needed to learn from the outside world without becoming helpless before it. His connection with Satsuma-Choshu was important. Katsu understood naval power and the need for reform. Through that world, Ryoma's thinking widened. The sea became more than geography. It became a symbol of Japan's future. Ryoma later helped develop maritime and trading activity through organizations associated with the Satsuma-Choshu and Kaientai. These were not just romantic details. They showed a new kind of politics, networks, commerce, ships, weapons, ideas, and negotiation moving across domain boundaries. His most famous political role was helping connect Satsuma and Choshu. Those two powerful domains had reasons to distrust each other, but without cooperation between anti-shogunate forces, the political balance would not change. Ryoma helped build a bridge. The Satsuma-Choshu alliance became a major step toward the collapse of Tokugawa power. Ryoma is often remembered as a visionary because he imagined a Japan beyond the old feudal frame. Plans associated with him called for political reform, national unity, and a new arrangement of power. Historians debate details, but the broader image is clear. Ryoma represented movement. He was assassinated in 1867, shortly before the Meiji Restoration. That timing made his legend even stronger. He died before victory became administration. He did not have to compromise inside the new government. He remained the young figure at the threshold, the man who pointed toward the future but never grew old inside it. This is why his memory is so powerful in modern Japan. Ryoma is not only a historical actor. He is a symbol of imagination during crisis. He reminds us that the end of the shogunate was not simply a clash of armies. It was also a struggle over what kind of country Japan should become. To understand Japan's path into the modern world, we have to understand the people who could see beyond the borders of their own age. Ryoma's importance also comes from the way he connected different kinds of change. There was military change. Japan had to think about guns, ships, coastal defense, and the reality of Western naval power. There was economic change. Trade, shipping, finance, and modern business organization were becoming part of politics. There was political change. The shogunate was still powerful, but more people were asking whether one hereditary military government could speak for the entire country. Ryoma stood where these questions met. He was not the only reformer. He was not the only activist. He was not the only person who understood that Japan had to change. But he became famous because his life has the shape of movement. He leaves Tosa. He meets people from different domains. He learns from naval reformers. He helps create networks. He pushes enemies toward alliance. He imagines structures beyond the old domain system. That is why the sea matters so much in his story. For a Tokugawa domain, the sea could be a boundary. For Ryoma, it became a route. Ships could move people, goods, weapons, and ideas. A maritime view of Japan made the country feel less like a set of closed territories and more like a connected archipelago facing the world. That was a powerful mental shift. The Satsuma-Choshu alliance shows the same quality. These domains had fought and distrusted each other. Bringing them closer was not only a matter of idealism. It required practical negotiation, timing, and credibility. Ryoma's role is sometimes romanticized, and historians continue to debate the exact details. But his image as a bridge builder remains meaningful because the political need was real. The anti-shogunate movement needed cooperation across old lines. His assassination also shaped his memory. If Ryoma had lived into the Meiji government, his image might have become more complicated. He would have had to choose policies, make compromises, disappoint allies, and accept responsibility for actual rule. Instead, he died before the new order was fully born. That gave later generations a young, unfinished symbol, a person who seemed to belong more to possibility than to bureaucracy. This does not mean we should treat him only as legend. The real Ryoma lived in danger. He made choices with incomplete information. He operated in a world of surveillance, factional violence, and political uncertainty. His ideas were not magic. They were part of a larger movement involving many people, many domains, and many pressures. But his story helps us understand the emotional energy of the Bakumatsu years. Those years were not simply the end of an old government. They were a crisis of imagination. Could samurai become citizens of a modern state? Could domains give way to national institutions? Could Japan learn from foreign powers without losing itself? Could loyalty to one lord become loyalty to a country? Ryoma did not answer all of those questions. No single person did, but he helped make them visible. He made it easier to imagine motion across boundaries, between domains, between old and new, between the sword and the ship, between Tokugawa Japan and Meiji Japan. That is why Sakamoto Ryoma remains one of Japan's most beloved historical figures. He represents the courage to look beyond the system that raised you and to ask what kind of future might be possible if people crossed the lines they had inherited. One of them was Sakamoto Ryoma.